Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another issue of Hops Geek News, a podcast where we talk
Who's
about
back?
comic books, movies, TV shows, and most importantly, we drink beer, sometimes too many, in a healthy way
Beers,
because we are
beers,
a podcast
beers.
that also drinks beer. And so we mask our issues with beer. Not really, don't come for me. But today we are talking about it is June. So we want to highlight our favorite LGBTQ themed superheroes, highlight the
Geeks, our favorite geeks.
geeks, things of that nature, because it is Pride Month. And unlike your companies who go ahead and change their profile picture, we actually really care. No, that's just a shot at the companies and all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. No, on a serious note, that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's really exciting. There's a lot of great representation happening across comic books, movies, TV shows. It is becoming more acceptable in these areas, whereas back in like the 90s, you wouldn't ever
It
see
was
it. So
controversial, which is
it
blows
was.
my mind.
And so it's really great to see because we both have a lot of friends who are a part of
Hmm.
these networks, and it's great that they get to look up to somebody as a hero. Like me as a plain white dude, I can look up to any superhero, and now my friends can too. And that sounded really douchey. I apologize again.
I think
I
it's hard not to sound douchey when you're
I,
a white dude talking about
I
these
do. I'm a
issues.
white dude
So
that
I'm
talks
just going to
about
stay
beer
quiet
and
and
this
good luck
stuff.
to you.
So I'm just creating more social media drama. Anyways, this week I am drinking a beer sent to me by Tracy, who is a really cool human being.
Awesome.
I'm gonna meet up with her next month. She's gonna be coming through the Boise area. Gonna go have some beers together. And this is from Forefathers Brewing out of Valparaiso, Indiana. And it's called
Hmm.
That's So Millennial. And
Oh.
it's great. It's not all beers are created equal. And on the side, the forefathers of beer: water, malt, hops, and yeast. The label design is by Brandon Zunda. I don't know if I pronounced that right. It is spelled Dzunda. And yeah, really good beer. It's just a IPA, double dry hopped with Mosaic, Amarillo, and Cashmere hops. What are you
I love
drinking?
me cashmere hops. I'm actually drinking one from Brewwitch. So she's on our main beer podcast. I might not have supposed to have been opening this yet because it's from Empirical, so I may have fucked up. I didn't see what brewery it was.
Oh, all
I
right.
have
Time out.
I
Time out.
have another
Empirical is literally
Empirical
a
one.
guest next week's
I know,
episode,
I know, I know.
and
I
she
did
couldn't
not
wait. Oh my!
I
I
did not
guess I
see
guess you gotta
Empirical.
come Comic Con.
I have another Empirical, but I opened this one because it's called
Wow.
Space for Everyone. So I thought it was a good one because there's space for everyone. But this topic
Unbelievable.
to me, so I grew up in South Florida, and like people didn't come out of the closet. They were just that's just how they were. They didn't have to come out. I didn't know that coming out was a thing until I was older, and I was in law school, and I took a class that was all about like gender issues and sexuality issues, and hearing like it was probably 20 kids in the class. Half the kids were straight, half the kids were gay, and I say kids, we were all in our mid 20s because it was law school or later.
Well, you feel
But
like kids at that point.
yeah, I mean, I still feel like a kid.
Me
But
too.
hearing the stories, I didn't know that it was not okay to be gay until I was actually an adult. I did not know, especially because I was in Winter Guard and we did dance competitions. And so multiple gay dudes in that. And I was also in art, lots of lesbians in there. No clue that it was not okay.
Well,
So
sure.
it just kind of blows my mind that we even have to talk about this. And I have to say that this June, I've been really impressed and surprised at all the rainbows everywhere. Being in Orlando ever since Pulse happened, downtown Orlando lights up rainbow every June. Disney has Pride stuff all year round. So it's become a big thing. And they actually just made the Pulse shooting club. Um, it's right by where my daughter was born. And now a memorial. So they just announced that it was a memorial a few days ago, very because they never reopened the club, obviously. So when you reached out and was like, "Hey, do you want to do an LGBTQ episode?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it had been something that crossed my mind, but honestly, in the past, it had never crossed my mind because it just seemed like
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't know.
you're totally right. I kind of grew up in like a military family, and I had heard of "Don't Ask, Don't Tell," and it's really great now because you don't have to hide behind that, and it's really great seeing a lot of my fellow servicemen being able to be who they want to be instead of hiding. And even just it's the social norm as it should be, because you should be able to love who you want to love and be who you want to be, because life is too short and life is ultimately too meaningless to have to hide behind these things. And it's unfortunate that some people do. And I was just sitting the other day, my wife and I, we went down to Boise and we had brunch, and we went downtown in the downtown area of Boise. So Idaho is a very conservative state, but Boise, it's great to see. There are, Pride Month, everything, rainbow flags. Like, it's just great to see that there's representation of the LGBTQ community in a place that's so conservative. And it's like, hey, this is awesome. You can be who you
Mm-hmm.
want to be in a place like this. And there's a great club called The Balcony that a lot of people go to, and that's a gay club. And that's not to say like, oh, it's a gay club. It's like, hey, in a place like Idaho, if you've never been here, you don't really understand what it would be like. And I only have been here 2 years, so I got a taste. Coming from Massachusetts, to me, it's like my uncle, he's gay, and I've got a cousin who has she's trans, he's trans. I'm trying to talk. I apologize. Transgender. So this is just the social norm for me. I've always grew up around it, and so I didn't think anything different until I did leave that area. So
Right. Well, and
it's
that's what
great.
I've heard when you leave certain area, because that's what I was flat out like called out. Like, you grew up down here, you don't get it. I was like, oh, all right. But yeah, but a lot of these characters we're going to be talking about, it used to be subtext, and now it's no, this is who they are, and we're going to see more in the MCU too. But before we dive into our main topic, we should talk about what we've read or watched this week,
Yeah.
like
Well,
we
hold
always
on,
do.
hold on, hold on,
Oh,
hold on.
oh, we've
We skipped a
skipped.
very key important part of our show. What are we not experts on?
All right, so I'm not gonna lie, I actually haven't listened to our most recent episode
I
yet. I
haven't
just haven't
either
had a
yet. I usually
chance.
do. I just haven't either.
So that's usually when I find our fuck up. And especially because we always record after a beer or two or three or four. And so I haven't listened recently, but I did get to have a beer with my friend Tim last week, who was on our wrestling episode and our Loki episode. And he called me out on our Jurassic Park episode. He said, you said you saw Terminator 1 in the theaters and you were terrified, but that movie came out in 1984 and you were only one. So that can't be correct. So it was Terminator 2, which is funny because I watched it now and I don't find that movie scary. But I watched the first one and I find the first one to be scary. But, my 6-year-old memory fucked that up. So thank you for calling me out, Tim.
I
I apologize.
I had something I fucked up on. I'm gonna be honest. I was thinking about the other day, but now I don't remember
You
what it
didn't
was.
write it in our Google
I
Doc, you
couldn't.
son of a
I got a
bitch.
new phone. All right. Okay. So, all right. Let's dive down this rabbit hole real quick. So,
Ugh.
Carrie and
Uh
I,
oh.
we go to the mall, or we go to Boise the other day. We had the day off together, and we have the
People
T-Mobile
still go
Jump.
to the mall?
Well, we had
Let's
the
go
T-Mobile Jump
to the
program
mall.
where we were supposed to, upgrade our phones if we want after X amount of time. So she was going to do it. I was like, hey, go ahead and do it. Uh, and then we kind of started talking and the benefits of the camera, things that nature. It's like we take a lot of beer pictures. I do a lot of stuff for the podcast. So I was like, all right, fine. I'll upgrade for free, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's an extra $7 a month to get
Nothing in
this
life is
phone.
free.
Well, her phone came out to be $1. And then my man's was like, when he got to my phone, because he had to do two separate transactions, he was like, that's 224.30. And I was like, in my head, I was like, take it back. But at that point, it's like he already undone the phone, done all this work, and I was like, "Fuck me, dude! Like I can't just go back because I
They
didn't want to.
probably did that intentionally. Like,
I
oh,
didn't
I'm
want
going
to
to do
get
all
a
this
new
shit
phone
now.
to begin with, but I ended up
This
paying
motherfucker.
$224 to get a new phone, and
So we have a GoFundMe
I fucked
account
up in that
now
regard. So
for
on my
Mash's
fucked up
phone.
portion, yeah, please go fund us because I had to buy a new phone that I didn't need, and whatever, I guess. But in lighter news,
But
real
have you
quick,
taken any good beer pictures?
I have taken some good stuff. So I got some fresh new Kyries thanks to her. She really came through in the clutch, customized them. They have my initials, things like that on the lip, and because I'm playing on a traveling basketball team, and so that's great. It's great. And on brighter news, real quick to touch upon this because I've been flaunting it to everywhere and trying to get my co-host to join me. But hey, we got press passes to Salt Lake City Comic Con September 16th to 18th. And so we will be there in some capacity, giving out some swag, talking to our hopefully favorite celebrities. There's some supernatural folks like Misha Collins going to be there. And
Oh, I love music.
we're going to be drinking some beers at some of the breweries afterwards. And it's going to be a great time. So if you're a Salt Lake City native or you're going to that Comic Con, it's in September. We got plenty of time. Make sure to seek us out. We're going to be passing out a lot of free stuff, talking to a lot of people. It's going to be a great time. This is like our first big event as far as press goes. So I'm excited. And when we started this, last April with Hops News, we just were doing this for fun. And
Right.
we literally just got off a call just now with Thunder 11, which that episode's going to release in August for Shark Week. So he wrote Sharknado 1 through 4. And we also have press passes to a Comic Con. So we could have never have dreamed that we had gotten to this point, or at least I never thought we would have. And
No, I never did
we just do this for fun. We're just a couple of knuckleheads who drink some beers, and on top of that, like Hop Barons, we also had a brine released where 50% of the proceeds go to Bottle Share, who I work with as well. And so Hop Barons, you can go ahead. This is their coffee rub, delicious. And you go to hopbarons.com, you find the brine, order that, use promo code Hops News. So it's just a culmination of wow, everything is hitting me at one time. We're doing great things. So that's kind of what I have to say about that. Thank you to everybody who does listen, and thank you to everybody who's supported
Thank
us
you,
at this point
Mom.
because it's great. And thank you to Lauren's mom because my mom doesn't listen, but I think my dad did buy some brine. Maybe, I don't know. He said he was going
Nice.
to. We'll see.
I bought some brine
I
and a
did. I
growler.
bought the
And then
growler. I am so excited to have the growler. Just like
me
empty it
too,
out
but I
into
got,
like a bag so I can just have that growler to be like, that's us.
yeah, but I got yelled at for spending more money at Hot Barons. But
Look, it's a need. We're supporting a great cause. 50% of proceeds go to Bottle
oh, I
Share.
agree. I have no regrets.
And
All right.
no
Stories.
regrets. That's my credo.
No regrets.
That said,
Meet the Millers. Da da
yes.
da
Oh,
da da
Jennifer
da.
Aniston. What have we read or watched this week?
Damn, I keep
Well,
jumping the gun.
Lauren's clearly in a rush to get this podcast over with. So
Well, I'm going to Austin tomorrow.
she is. She is going to Austin, Texas tomorrow, one of the best beer, cities in America. So I am very jealous. I watched Sweet Tooth. Really great show. I don't
Mm.
know much about the comic. I'm going to Yellowstone actually in 2 days from when this airs. So I bought a comic book so that way I can get to Yellowstone. Uh, I'm gonna read the comic. I'm gonna get the omnibus. The story, the show, really great. A lot of heart, a lot of just a great storyline in it. My wife went ahead and finished it without me. I fell asleep on the couch, and she was like, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this without you."
But stop falling asleep on the
I
couch.
can't help it. I'm an old man. So I watched that. And then, of course, I've watched Loki. So Loki, this show, I had been saying like this is going to be the best series that Marvel is going to put out television wise out of all the ones that we've gotten this year. And so far, I am right on the money. Tom Hiddleston, just his acting,
Hmm.
it is amazing to see
With
that
Owen
salt.
Wilson.
Oh yeah, Salt and Pepper Owen Wilson. I want more of that and more of
Wait,
our
you
media.
did not see the episode this morning, though, correct?
Shut your mouth, SA. No,
And
I
you
as
just
of
said
right
salt and
now,
pepper? And you just
yeah,
said salt and pepper.
he's got the gray
Oh,
hair.
okay. Well, I want you to just text me when you're done with that episode because this episode doesn't release until Monday. So most people will have seen the second episode. But you just said salt and pepper and you have not seen episode two.
Mm,
So once you watch episode two, you're going to be like, ha 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 ha. This is why she's
crazy.
randomly saying salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper.
And I'm not just saying
Oh,
shoot, do, bad. No,
whatever that song is
it's going
from
to be
the.
funny. It's going to be relevant. Salt and pepper. You heard it here,
Oh,
kids. Yes, so sweet tooth. So I was waiting for my daughter. My daughter spent a couple weeks down south visiting her dad's side of the family, and I waited to watch it with her. And she comes home. She goes, "Did you hear about the show Sweet Tooth? Because
she
I
already
watched
watched
it."
it. Oh my God, she watched it without
Yes,
you. That's
I did.
savage.
It's okay.
These
I
fucking
still love
kids.
her.
I swear to God, you can't trust these kids.
Well, yeah, I haven't even really had any time to watch it. Maybe if I didn't watch Supernatural, I could. But I've only watched
Mhm.
Loki 1 and 2. I read a few issues of Invincible and yeah, just Supernatural.
You
So
know,
I don't really have
I'm
anything to
kind of
say,
disappointed.
but
Kind
not
of disappointed
surprised.
that you haven't watched it. You saw, come on, watch it because I invited
She
Woodland
didn't get home
Empire.
till like,
I don't care. I invited Woodland
okay,
Empire on to talk about Sweet Tooth because they've read the comic books. So,
when
no,
I will
I
watch
don't
it. It's
know.
only 8 episodes, right?
Well, they
And
haven't
they're less
watched the
than an
show
hour an
yet
episode.
either, so it's okay. They haven't watched the show. I talked to Rob, which we're getting a beer made after the Geeks. By the way, I have been meaning to ask them if they would want to do their B-side series with it, as far as maybe we record that episode and then like we make the playlist and then they can scan the can and get the 3 episodes that we've had them on for. So
Oh shit, that would be awesome.
I kind of want to
Fuck
ask them
yes.
that, but then again, like I just asked them like, hey, can you just give our stickers out at your brewery, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
I
but
feel
that's a
really
great idea
needy,
because
and
their beers have the if anybody is not
I know
familiar,
I just feel so needy.
Woodland
Like they're
Empire has,
so amazing.
but that's a really good idea. They have Spotify, and I did not know you could do this. They had to actually walk me through it when they were on the episode with us. So if you haven't heard those episodes, if you go into Spotify and you have a Woodland Empire can, and I'm sure there's other breweries that do this, was it you go to search and then you have to go to the camera and search. And then because it doesn't show like a barcode or whatever like on tap. So you actually have to click the camera and then you scan the code, the Spotify code on the can. And that is a genius idea to have their episodes with us come up. I love that.
All right, fine. I'm
You got a
texting him as we
good
speak.
idea
So
every
go
now and
ahead
then.
and tell us about your news, and I'm texting Rob right now as we record this
But you
episode.
could wait or you could text him now.
No, I'm texting him now while
I
I
think
have the
that's a really good idea.
courage.
I don't
I
even
have
think
the
that's
courage
asking
right now because I'm
the
like, I
liquid
sincerely
courage.
apologize that we're asking you for all this stuff. Because if you go to Woodland Empire for my Boise friends, I'm dropping off a stack of stickers that you can just take. And I can't tell you, like Christian, Rob, Keeley, like the three of them have been nothing but gracious to us as a podcast. And now they're making like a beer and they're gonna give us like free swag. And they've already hooked us with a bunch of beer. So like I don't like to feel needy. I don't like to just like get free stuff. I don't, that's not who I am. So
Right.
I just feel bad.
Honestly, like if I were in Idaho, that'd be the first place I would want to go. Is like to meet them for a beer with you. One day I'll get
Yeah.
to Idaho.
Look,
Okay.
if you come to Salt Lake, you can come to Idaho. Never mind. You're leaving for Jamaica the weekend after. I wouldn't push it. I wouldn't push
I'm
it. I'll
leaving
take
for
Salt
Jamaica.
Lake, but I wouldn't
I'm
push
going to
anything else.
Montego. Okay. So Jurassic World 3 will have the big three back. And that means Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm. Apparently, they are all coming back, and it's not just for brief cameos. So supposedly, they will be part of the movie. The Flash movie has got a new logo and a new suit. I'm just happy to see this is progressing. And I'm going to steal a piece of your news because it's relevant at the time and you're fangirling over there with Woodland Empire. This film is supposed to have Grant Gustin in it,
Yes, he
which
is. Allegedly.
Ezra Miller was in Flash, the series. So
Yes.
good
Well, it
on
was like
him.
the big crossover. Yeah. And they actually just
Yeah,
released a photo of the logo, kind of like the suit. The suit that looks, I mean, from the logo portion, it looks kind of
it's
dope.
literally what I just said.
Okay, I know. I'm sorry.
You son of a bitch. All the Harry Potter movies are now on HBO Max. I don't know if that's old news or new news, but it's on there. Disney Plus is getting a Beauty and the Beast prequel with Gaston and LeFou. I guess a lot of people were asking about that, wanting that. It has been greenlit. That is pretty much all my news. Do you want me to go into your news while you're continuing to
Well,
text, or you want to take it over?
so my news this fine day is E3 was this past weekend, and so one of the big things is that a Guardians of the Galaxy game is going to come out this October. However, much to my dismay and a lot of others, you're only going to be able to play as Star Lord. So
Oh,
I
really?
Yeah, it's stupid. They already
Who?
bungled the Avengers game, and that was kind of a mess. And now you have a
Hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy game. You have all these great heroes, and you're only going to let me play a Star Lord who looks like Logan Paul or whomever from like a shitty YouTuber influencer with his stupid hair.
I liked when you called him an influencer.
Yeah, and so like it just kind of looks like why would you give me this game and only let me play as one character? It really doesn't make sense. So, but Another thing that doesn't make sense to me is that all the Disney Plus Marvel series, they're going to be strictly on Wednesdays for all the shows. I get it. Loki seems to be doing great on Wednesdays, but what if you just like put them on different days of the week? You're gonna have success no matter what day of the week. So I don't know why you just lock yourself into Fridays or Wednesdays. Like spread them out, put them on different days, you know?
I wonder if it's to kind of spread out their viewership. I mean, and I had said that before, but it also makes sense. It's like, one of my middle kid is like big into this one YouTuber, and she's like, "Oh, it's Monday. Jordan Matter releases a new video on Monday."
Who?
Some dude who takes pictures of girls doing gymnastics. She's been to all that
That's
bendy.
creepy.
It is a little creepy, but
That
he
sounds
also
really
has kids, and I've
creepy.
watched I've watched the videos with her, so I know it's okay. But yeah, it does sound creepy. But he releases a new video on Mondays or whatever day of the week it is. So I could see that being at like, oh, it's Wednesday. What does Disney Plus have today? Similar to a podcast too. This
Hmm.
podcast drops every Monday night.
Well, would you look at that? So yeah.
What is your iCarly stuff?
Oh, you don't know iCarly with
I know who
Miranda
iCarly
Cosgrove?
is.
Well, apparently they came out, the writers and creators were basically like, hey, there's going to be sexual situations in this show because it's in the there are more adults, things like that. And I'm like, this is not the show I was watching on Nickelodeon as like a
Well, it was
preteen.
too young for me. My daughter watched it.
Yeah, but like I'm like, wow. I mean, I get they're grown up, but like, wow. All right, I guess like
Wait, so the show's back?
it's coming back. Paramount streaming service.
Oh.
It's gonna be back, and I mean, Spencer's crushing beers in the promos, and it's apparently gonna be more geared towards
Is
adults.
Spencer the brother?
Yeah, he's like the older brother who doesn't look like he's really aged a day. So
My middle kid has been watching the new That's So Raven, where she's like a
there's a
mom.
new That's So Raven.
Yeah, she's a
She's a
mom.
mom.
She
Well,
has,
what is
I think she has
with
twins.
because there's a Hillary Duff show coming out that's How I Met Your Father. You know, like How I Met Your
Right.
Mother. But so like, guys, can we get original ideas? Do we have to like take our childhoods and be like, what if Raven was a mom? Or
Well, I mean, it makes
what if
sense. They already have an
iCarly
audience, though.
was making OnlyFans? Like, what the hell?
I feel like her show is the original OnlyFans.
That's true, but I'm saying like they announced there's like sexual tones, like so is iCarly
There
like
you go.
making OnlyFans on the side to pay for their fucking apartment? Like I don't know.
Probably. Didn't they have no parents?
They didn't. They did not. Or their parents live somewhere. I don't really remember. I'm gonna be honest with you. But something I am gonna remember is a lot of good times on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation as far as Grand Theft Auto. And so Rockstar is going to be ending the support for Xbox 360 and PS3 for GTA Online, Max Payne, and LA Noir in December. So if you're like me, you kind of grew up with those games, or Grand Theft Auto has always been fun, and you haven't been able to upgrade your system yet. First of all, Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 are out. Sure, you can get your hands on them, but PlayStation 4 and Xbox One have been out for a while. So the services online are going to end for 360 and PS3. That stops in December. Get it together, man. Maybe by December you can get a PlayStation 5. I don't know. They just, with all the COVID video cards, they couldn't keep up with the demand. And you took JJ Abrams is going to his bad robot company, because we just love JJ Abrams' inability to really finish a story. That's gonna explore a UFO mystery in a new series on Showtime. And last but not least, Batman does not go down on Catwoman because that's not heroes do.
You're so ridiculous.
Oh man, that's just been a hot topic. Yeah, Harley Quinn, the show that is made for kids with all their killing and all that other stuff. DC has said heroes do not eat their women out. And
It just
yeah,
keeps
it sounds so
makes me think
dirty.
of Sopranos. Like what is was it no, not Junior, maybe Polly? Oh, I thought you were Gabagool man. What you doing eating sushi?
It's yeah, very, that's a weird hill for DC to die on, and they just can't get anything right
They will
apparently.
die on any hill they can. I really
DC
feel like
does
they will.
not know what heroes do clearly, because heroes do not bond over the name Martha. But, you know, maybe they do. I don't know. So,
You think they do? Okay.
look, that's not the point here. That's no, I don't think that. All right, whatever. Let's get to the main topic. Main topic
Ah,
time. Go ahead, take us away.
Okay. So what I did was I listed my top five favorite LGBTQ
Oh.
geeks, or actually more, not really geeks, but in the geek realm. And then I have some interesting fun facts. So I'm going to go number five is Aaron from The Walking Dead.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think part of the reason I loved him was because when Aaron was introduced on the show, I was finally, it was one of the first times I was introduced to a character where I had already met him in the comic. And I remember like jumping like my recliner, and my husband knowing I had been reading it was like, shh, I don't want to hear. I don't want to know if he's good or bad. And I knew right away, spoilers if you're, I don't think anybody cares about The Walking Dead at this point. I was like, oh no, 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 he's good, he's good, he's good. I love him in the comics, and I love that actor, and I love his character that he plays too. And I got to meet him. Actually, ironically, I didn't even think of this.
You met
A
him.
few months, I did meet him, but a few months after the Pulse shooting, they did
Oh.
a Walker Stalker Con, and it
Oh yeah, I
benefited,
remember those. Yeah.
and I didn't even think about this until just now. It benefited the victims of Pulse, and so anything you paid there went to them. So I paid to take a picture of him, and he was so nice. I was talking to him, and like I made my daughter take a picture. I'm like, she's not allowed to watch Walking Dead. I think, let's see, that happened in 2016, so she
I
was
was
only
living
like
in
12,
Florida at that point.
almost 13 then. What was fun, not funny, but what's interesting is when the Pulse shooting happened, I was actually in Denmark, and we woke up and like the newspapers were covered in Orlando, and we were very surprised. And it was the day before or after the little boy. I don't even want to get into that. Okay, whatever. It was terrible.
Hey, bring us
Um,
back, man.
right, bringing us back. So, but that actor's amazing. He's reprised Red Skull in, what is it, Infinity Wars or
That was
Endgame
him.
or
Wait, that
both.
was him?
Yeah, you didn't know that was him?
Oh my god, I had no idea that was him playing the
Yeah,
character.
the main actor who played Red Skull in Captain America didn't want to come back, and so he's him. What's his name? Why can't I remember his
Oh,
name?
you're thinking of Hugo Weaving
Hugo Weaving didn't want to come back,
because
so
all
the
the
guy who
makeup.
plays Aaron in The Walking Dead came back, and he played him.
Wow. I had no idea that was Aaron from The Walking Dead, you know?
Yeah.
That is
I'll look up his name too,
wow.
so I don't have to.
That's crazy. That wow. Okay.
Well, he's
Okay.
known for doing impressions and stuff.
Huh. You know, I only ever knew him from Walking Dead and then I stopped watching the show. That's searching
Ross
loss.
Marquand. So yeah, super awesome dude.
Where have I
Loved
been?
Aaron in the comics. Loved Aaron in the show. Um, so my number four is Sarah Lance from.
Ooh,
Some may
yeah,
know her from
Legends
Green
of
Arrow.
Tomorrow.
That is where she truly shines as Legends of Tomorrow. But
Very
I
much.
really loved her in Arrow too. And actually, kind of a fun fact. So, Sarah ends up dating Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Yes,
Okay,
not Talia, the other girl.
right. I can't remember exactly. So somebody call us out if we're wrong. But John Barrowman in that episode, he says to Ra's al Ghul's daughter, who's in love with Sarah, how disappointed her father would be about her being gay. And he
Mm.
said, this is a spoiler alert for one of my upcoming favorite characters, how hard that was for him to say to her.
Well, because he's gay
Um,
in real life himself.
oh, dude, he's more than gay. He's
Yeah.
fucking fabulous.
He's so fabulous. I love
Oh,
him as a human being.
dude, he got, well,
Absolutely.
I'm stopping it because, all right, he's my number one.
Well, there you go. That's your number
Okay.
one.
Number three is Loki. I don't think we really need to go into Loki because we did a whole episode on him.
Very true.
So I'll move that along. Number two is Charlie Bradberry for me. She is from Supernatural. She is badass, super smart. She comes and goes. She's in an episode. She doesn't get introduced until later on. See, that's the thing with Supernatural. Is like people be like, "Oh, I watched the first 8 seasons." Well, you missed a lot
There's
of
still another 8, buddy.
amazing characters, and Charlie is one of them. She is so amazing. They kind of look at her as like a younger sister. She's very
Yeah.
smart, she's very funny. She does a lot of good geek references, and in real life she's a geek too. She's in the Dr.
Oh.
Horrible stuff. Felicity, I think is her name.
Okay.
She
Okay.
actually does like live Dungeons and Dragons games with like pseudo celebrities and shit. So she's a geek on the show and a geek in real life. And she has her character in Supernatural has a, because they're like, Dean's trying to coach her on flirting with a guy because she doesn't know how to flirt with guys. And he goes, well, do you have any tattoos? Guys, like when you show them tattoos. And she goes, well, I have one, but it's a Leia riding a 20-sided dice. And he looks at her. She's like, "I was drunk. It was Comic Con."
That's good.
So it's like right there. Like, how can you not fall in love with her? Because
Yeah.
she's awesome. And then my number one is Captain
Ah,
Jack Harkness.
yes. Oh my God. I loved him in the early
Yeah,
Doctor Who. He was just like, and he was all over the place, and I loved it though because his character was great. And John Barrowman, my wife was
killed it.
actually at the one of the North Carolina Comic Cons, and she sent me a picture. She's like, I think this guy is familiar, and it was John fucking Barrowman she was standing next to, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like that's Jack, and AKA
Right.
also I was like watching
Malcolm
Arrow at the
Merlin.
time. I was like, it's Malcolm Merlin, and she was like, oh, I should have said something. I was like, yeah. We were dating at the time, and I was just like, "Yeah." He was standing like right next to her, and I was just like, "What are you doing with your life, man?"
I have a picture with him too, actually.
Okay. Oh,
Well,
that's
so the first MegaCon I went to, I my mom had watched Doctor Who and she was like, "You should watch it." And I just hadn't gotten into it. I didn't know that like apparently my grandmother watched it in like the 60s or 70s or whatever. And so I hadn't gotten into it. And so he was at MegaCon and my friend Ian and I were like, "Oh, okay, let's go check him out." And we had my daughter at the time was probably 12, maybe 11. And we go in there and we're like, why is there such a huge crowd? I think I've even told this story on the podcast. Why is there such a huge crowd for Malcolm Merlin? We don't understand. And then found out he's Captain Jack Harkness and he's part of Doctor Who. So then we watched Torchwood and
yeah.
then Doctor Who. But there was times when John Barrowman was talking and Ian and I looked at each other like, maybe we should take Kaylee out of here because this is getting really
He's very
inappropriate.
raunchy. Yes, he's
Let's just say
fabulous.
he turns around at one point and there's a big screen and it shows the back of his head. And he goes, "Oh, that's what my husband sees all the time." I was like, "Oh my
So he sent me the bag of dicks.
God. Oh, he's amazing." Are you kidding? If he had done that, he would have signed it.
That's very true.
Um, he has come out at Comic Cons and Mega Cons in a TARDIS dress and heels.
Yes, I've seen this.
Dude,
Yes.
I can't walk in heels. He is amazing.
Look,
He is
that
absolutely
man,
amazing.
he's such a great human being. He really
He is
is.
too, yes. And he
Ah,
was so cute too because he takes question, they do Q&As and somebody came up and asked him a question about like, how can I be more confident or something like you? And he's like, I will always remember this question because this just really like hit me. And he was just so nice. And then somebody comes up and they're like, if you could be any Disney princess or who would you be? And he found somebody with a red wig in the audience and he put it on and he sang part of your world.
oh my gosh. That's man. I honestly wish I had the confidence like that sometimes,
Yeah, he's an
or the
amazing human being
talent.
inside
I
and
mean,
out.
geez.
Yeah. And he's been
Uh,
on the if anybody gave up, I know a lot of people that gave up with Jodie Whittaker. I like her. He did come back
mm.
around. So
I like Jodie Whittaker. It's been a while since I've watched, dove into Doctor Who, but I thought she was a good doctor too. I mean, this kind of detracts from the conversation, but I do enjoy her as Doctor.
I think she's doing a really good job too.
Doctor.
But so
So
I have some fun facts, but let's dive into what you got.
no, I was just gonna some of the characters that I wanted to highlight as a part of the LGBTQ community within to give you that superhero representation. So first of all, you have Bobby Drake, who you know as Iceman. He's been fighting bullies since the '60s, but recently is when he decided he had the courage to come out as gay, which is it great. Hey, Iceman, I always loved his character as part of the X-Men. I think he often gets shit on and isn't loved enough. So loved him. You have America Chavez, who is a Latina hero who can, kick holes through the walls of reality. She fought alongside other teen heroes who are of the LGBTQ community, such as Prodigy, Wiccan, Hulkling, and the Young Avengers. Currently, she's part of the West Coast Avengers, a really big one. So shout out to everybody who loved Avatar: The Last Airbender, because Korra, who is an element bending hero from that world, she has continued her adventures in a series of amazing comics, and in them she confesses her love to her brilliant engineer girlfriend Asami. So that's another one. We have obviously Loki, and we have Batgirl. So Kate Kane, Batman's cousin, when she replaced him as the city's new vigilante Batwoman. She protects the innocent, and yeah, so she is a part of that community as well. Jackson Hyde, the son of the supervillain Black Manta, but he's also a friend of Aquaman and a member of the Teen Titans. He's come out of his shell. Harley Quinn, of course, there's many storylines where Harley Quinn and Poison
Hmm.
Ivy are in relationships, and that was even explored in Harley Quinn season 2 a little bit. Archie Andrews and his Riverdale pals, they all kind of Archie's friend Kevin Keller. He is the good-natured gay teenager, they say, who has adopted the superhero name the Equalizer. So those are some great ones that I kind of have. That some of them are lesser known, some of them are more widely known. Uh, Give us your fun facts.
So my fun facts. So we got Mystique is actually gay in the comics and had a long relationship with Destiny. She was actually always intended to be gay, but it was all subtext for over a decade
Oh,
when Marvel was, just doing subtext apparently.
we're
She's
subtweeting at this point, homie.
well in the movie she's clearly had feelings for Magneto, so I'm wondering if in now that Fox is owned by MCU, maybe if they'll write her a little more comic accurate. And Sailor Moon, Sailor Neptune was straight washed for America. Uh,
Oh,
I don't know why I said America like that. I'm sorry. Probably because she was straight washed.
America.
In the original version, she was dating Sailor Uranus. Endgame had its first openly gay character in the MCU movies, and that was co-director Joe Russo. You know, when they're
Oh
in the
yes, when
scene,
they're in the
yeah, yeah,
circle and he's like, I
right.
had met a guy. Yes, that's right.
I will say though, they do very limited focus on relationships in the MCU. I mean, you got the weird
Yeah,
Pepper,
they
Iron
really
Man,
don't
Peggy,
touch
and
on
Steve, but
them.
yeah, they don't do that too much. But they said that's the first one in the MCU. But if you are one of those true believers like I am, where the shows are connected to the movies, the Runaways and Jessica Jones, and I believe there was somebody in Shield too. I just couldn't think of it off the top of my head. There's definitely gay characters in both of those, and to me, those are part of the MCU.
Mm.
They've said they intend to include more representation soon, and Tessa Thompson, who plays Valkyrie, has said that she was always intended to be bisexual, and as she is in the comics.
Yeah,
And there was actually a scene cut in Ragnarok of a woman leaving her bedroom, and they told her, so in the flashback scene where it's like
yeah,
in real slow motion with Hela, and you see the one person like dying on like the Pegasus. So when she watched that scene, they told her like, "This is your lover," and so that would make sense too as to her character. It's like, I mean, yeah, I guess you would be super depressed just watching all your friends be
right.
murdered by the goddess of hell, but if it's somebody that you truly were in love with, that could be a bit more of a punch to the gut, so to speak. Um,
Absolutely.
Korg from Ragnarok is actually gay in the comics, and in the Incredible Hulk series is where that story is told. Silver Surfer freed him and others from having to fight gladiators and whatnot on Sakaar, so that happens in that story. I did not know that was in the Hulk series. I found that interesting because Hulk is in Ragnarok.
Yes.
Um, Ao of the Dora Milaje, we see her. She's the main Dora Milaje character in Falcon and Winter Soldier. She's a lesbian in the comics. I
Oh,
did sense
really?
something between her and Bucky, though, so I'm wondering if that's just friendship then. In the comics, one version of Captain Marvel is gay, and
Hmm.
in Another Earth, Wolvie and Hercules hook up.
Really?
Yeah, I had actually read that when we were doing the Wolverine stuff,
Huh.
and it's just there was just so much.
I actually honestly had no idea. I haven't read that at all. That's the one fun fact out of all the facts here that I had no idea.
I haven't read that story, and it's not Earth 616 Wolverine. But I did come across that when we did our 3-part Wolverine series. It's just there's so much, and you have to filter all of it and find stuff that's relevant for all of our episodes. But it was definitely relevant for this one. So
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
in Hercules, there has been talk about casting Hercules for the MCU. Who
There
was it that they were
has.
saying that they were going to
Oh
cast?
God, I can't remember now. I honestly
I
have
don't
no idea.
remember, but I know Jordan from Hop Heroes was not happy.
I could look on
Son
the
of a
Instagram, but
bitch.
I'm lazy right now. So if you hear that, let us know who it was because I honestly can't remember at the moment, and I'm not going to look it up because we're in the middle of an episode and I'm just lazy. So I honestly, there is a lot. I would say obviously in your early representations of comic books and movies you didn't get it a lot, but it is really great to see nowadays that This community that's always been marginalized against is finally getting to see heroes that they can kind of look up to, especially if you're a younger kid and say you don't know how to deal with your sexuality. Maybe your escape is comic books, and you can read these comics and be like, oh my god, like
Relate.
you can relate in certain ways, and it doesn't make you any weaker. It really doesn't,
Hmm.
because we're all human beings and we're all just trying to get through life together. And I always say this, but in the end, life is all meaningless anyways, because we're all going to die. And to me,
No one's getting
a
out of this
light's just
alive.
going to shut off, and that's that. So love who you want to love. And it's easier said than done. I've never personally gone through it, but I get families, things of that nature. So it's just great that we're actually finally able to see a lot of this representation, whether it's through comic books, film, what have you. So
And it's nice that it's no longer a controversial topic because I have said
yeah.
for, God, I'm getting so old. I keep saying 20 years lately. Ugh, I'm so old. The only two like political topics I've ever been 100% one sided on has been gay rights and marijuana.
Oh,
Marijuana should be 100% legal. I don't even smoke it.
it
I don't
should.
even like
I
it, but it should be 100% legal. And gay people should be 100% treated the same as straight people. And
look.
I've never changed those stances.
I am an ordained minister. So if you are in a same sex couple marriage and you can't find somebody to marry you, please hit me up. I will gladly do it for you,
Well, in
because
Florida, you just have to be a notary.
yeah, like fuck all that. I'm with you 100%. Marijuana should be legal. It's great. If I could smoke weed, I'd probably do it over drinking beer. Um,
I'd
and
pass out if I smoked weed
I just would be
right
so
here,
much
right now.
less anxious of a
I'd be
human
asleep.
being. And look, you're already asleep because you're not going to Salt Lake Comic Con. So those are also my two things, really, to boil it down is, yeah, hey, if you ever need a place to confide in anybody and you don't know who to talk to, please hit us up on Twitter, Geek Hops, Instagram, Hops Geek News. We're here for you. You need an ear, we got you. Whatever it is, please, please, please hit us up. And I don't have anything else for this episode. Do you?
Nope. Next week we're going to be interviewing Empirical Brewing from Chicago, and I think Brewwitch might be joining us.
Brewwitch
So
will be
that'll
on.
be
So
fun.
yeah, next week's gonna be great. Next week's episode, we're gonna have a brewery from Chicago, Empirical Brewing, and their tap handles are lightsabers. They are very geek themed. We're gonna have them on. Brewwitch is going to be joining us. Who she is such a special member of Hops News. She was living in Germany, didn't really get to do a lot with us, but now that she's in Chicago right now,
Right.
she hooked us up with this brewery, and she's just a kind spirit. So it's really great that she's going to come
And
on
super
and join us.
knowledgeable.
She's very knowledgeable, really great human being. So check us out next week. And you're also going to be seeing a beercation video from Lauren, aka Hoppy Mommy, over here on the Hops News YouTube page
Woo.
from Austin, Texas. I'm about to go out to Yellowstone. You might see some things from me. Follow us, Hops Geek News on Instagram, Geek Hops on Twitter. Go to Hops News on Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you find your podcasts. And make sure to go to hopbarons.com, because we have a brine out where 50% of the proceeds go to Bottle Share, a really great nonprofit organization that I am lucky enough to work with, that Chris has come on and talked with us plenty of times. They are out here doing great things for the breweries. And aside from that, just enjoy life. Drink a good beer. Happy belated Father's Day to everybody out there. And hey, 4th of July is coming up, brother. Maybe we're going to do a little 4th of July action as well. So crack open them sparklers and cheers for the founding fathers.
Cheers, America.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.